Hello everyone, and today I'm going to show you how to build a LEGO Star Wars clone base. A clone base is one of the most popular types of LEGO Star Wars MOCs. There is an unlimited amount of different LEGO Star Wars clone bases you could build, basing them on different planets and using different clone battalions in your MOCs. So today I will be showing you the process that we have used to build clone bases in the past, such as our Ryloth clone base and our more recent Kashyyyk clone base. So this is just a step-by-step guide showing you the way that we do it, but of course everyone does it differently. Also, this video is for beginners or people who just want to improve at building LEGO clone bases. We have split this process into 4 different parts, so let's jump right in. So the first thing we do when we're building a clone base is plan. We do this before we start getting parts and putting them together to build the structure of the base, because we want to have a good idea of what we're building before we build it. Although when you are planning out what you are going to build, you want to look at your parts and get inspired by them, because if you try and plan out something that you don't have the parts for, it'll be very frustrating and you obviously won't be able to build it. You can also base your MOC on what sort of vehicles you have, because you want to have vehicles for your troopers because it helps them do way better in battle. You could use vehicles like this BARC Speeder or this AT-RT, which are from our friend Oli OK, whose channel will be linked in the description below. For our MOC, we will be using a Swamp Speeder because it's on Kashyyyk. Remember that it is more important to have a smaller build with more detail than a bigger one with less. So the first part of planning is choosing what you are going to build your base on. You could build it on a base plate or some sort of structure built out of other parts. We have decided to put our clone base on a 32x32 base plate. Once you have decided what sort of base you will have for your base, you're going to want to draw out what you think it'll look like. The best way to do this is with a pencil and a piece of paper. You want to make this as clear as you possibly can, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It should have everything labeled, showing doors, where the different rooms are, if there's a road, the landscape, and other things like that. I also suggest drawing multiple angles of your base so you know what it looks like from the front and above. We have drawn 2 different angles of our base, very simply, just using squares, circles, and basic lines, and labeling them so you know the general areas and where everything will be. Our base was inspired by the fact that we had lots of Kashyyyk troopers, so it would be perfect to build a base for them. And we had lots of brown and green parts, which would work very well for the vegetation. So now that you have gotten your plan together, what you're going to want to do is get your base plate or whatever you're using for your base and start by placing down the walls based on your plan. You're going to want to just place down some bricks at the lowest level of the wall so that you know how big the walls will be and where the doors and everything will be in real life, because you don't know the exact stud length of everything when you are planning out on paper. You can then use more plates and bricks to do the same thing in other parts of your MOC, such as a road. This helps you know where all the different things in your clone base MOC will be before you start getting into the details. So the second step we do for building a LEGO clone base is building the main structures. These include the walls and the roofs. For the walls, they are quite simple, just stacking up bricks, but you want to use other parts that you have to add lots of nice details. The best ways to do this is either by doing a pattern of certain pieces that you have and using snot bricks and putting them on the wall, or by using more than one color to make your base look more interesting, like how we did with the light and dark gray, but you could also use whatever color your clone battalion is to add more detail to it. For example, if you used blue for a 501st base. It usually looks good if you use one color for the majority of the base and then add accents of another color to spice it up. When you're building the walls, you also might want to add functional parts like a sliding door or an elevator. We decided to put a sliding door in the center of our base. We also tried to add as much detail as we could to the base using dark gray borders at the top and the bottom, as well as using some of these interesting parts in the middle to add some nice detail. We also put more parts on the side of the base. When you use unique and interesting parts to add details to your base, it makes it look much better. We did the same sort of thing for the upper level. When you're building the walls, you also want to think about if anything will be connected to the walls on the inside, such as a gun rack. This adds detail to one of our future steps, and helps you save your precious bricks so that you do not run out of them. On top of your walls, you can also place tiles with a few studs here and there so that your roofs can stay connected but also be removable. Next, for the roofs. You can build the roofs using either a snot technique or just with normal building. If you're building more than one level, the base of your additional levels is also like a roof. The simplest way of building all these is to create a large rectangle by stacking bricks or plates on top of each other. We did this for our roof that is higher up and added lots of detail on top of it. We also used it for the base of our second level. Roofs can also be created using snot techniques, which is when you build a wall of bricks and place it on its side and use it for the roof. It then gets held in place by a brick like one of these. When you are building your roofs, also remember to pay attention to detail and use lots of interesting pieces for your details like we did for the walls. One very good detail you can add to your base is a satellite dish. When you are building the main structures of your base, you just need to focus on detail. This is one of the most important things that helps make an incredible LEGO clone base. Next, we do the interiors. The first part of this is the floors. If you are building on a base plate, you're going to want to put a layer of tiles and plates to cover up the color of the base plate. You also want to add detail to the floor if you can by adding drains, different lines for parking of ships, and other things like that. In our base, we are just adding some simple light gray lines into the dark gray floor, which shows where the swamp speeder will park. We also just covered the other room in plain dark gray plates. Now for the various objects inside of the base like tables. When you are building objects for the interior of your base, you want to maximize the space you have, but not make it too cluttered. In the hangar, we just put a simple crate with one of the clones' helmets on top of it, as well as their swamp speeder. In the room next to the hangar, we put another crate, as well as a simple area which has some seats and a holo game from the Millennium Falcon, which is for the clones to hang out. We then added similar things to the command center in the upper level, such as a holo table and some control panels in the front of it. These are all quite simple builds, but they help fill up the space nicely to create a good looking interior. Now for the landscape around the base and the final touches, such as placing down the minifigures. For the landscape around the base, there are many different techniques you can use depending on where your base is located. When you are building your base, you are going to want to look at some pictures of the terrain from a Star Wars show or comic book or something like that. This way you know what it looks like and you can try and get inspiration from it to see what you're going to build in your landscape. One thing to think about when you're building your landscape is a contrast between tiled and plated parts. This can make your landscape look super cool and add little details. Another thing to think about is layering. For our Kashyyyk MOC, we just did a flat surface, but for many other MOCs like our Ryloth clone base, you will want to have different layers to make the land slope up and down, which helps make the landscape look more natural. Another thing to think about is the plants around your clone base. These can be built out of LEGO plant parts like we did for most of the lower vegetation in this Kashyyyk MOC, or out of bricks like we did for the trees in this MOC, or the plants in this Felucia MOC. You can also use different colors to make your MOC look more interesting. For example, we've used plain green, dark green, and olive green in this MOC for the vegetation. We also used dark brown and normal brown for the trees. This makes the landscape look better and more detailed. You also want to make sure that your landscape and your base is connected. For example, if you have leaves growing on your base, or if your base is built into the side of a mountain. Overall, you want to make your landscape look as detailed as possible, while making it as exact as you can to the planet the base is on. Now for the final touches. The last touch to building a clone base is adding the figures. These could be all inside of the base doing various different things, or there could be a battle scene outside with the separatists attacking the base. For ours, we have decided to put them inside of the base, all in different interesting poses. In the command center, we have Yoda and a Kashyyyk trooper looking out the window, and Gree and some Wookiees planning for a future battle. In the hangar, we have a trooper cleaning the swamp speeder, and in the armory room, we have troopers playing holo chess, as well as grabbing a gun. Through your figure placement, you want to show off all the different parts of your base by having different troopers use them. So that's the final step of building a LEGO clone base. So now you have your completed MOC. If you want to get some inspiration for building Lego clone bases, you should definitely check out the playlist in the description below, which has a bunch of different Lego clone bases in it from various people on YouTube, which were the ones we showcased in the beginning of this video. So definitely take a look at them so you can see what sort of bases you could build. We also want to thank our friend Fan of Bricks for helping us come up with the idea for this video, so his channel will be linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, we would really appreciate it if you hit that like button to help our video do better, and subscribe for many more videos like this, as we have built lots of clone bases and are hoping to build a few more. So me and my brothers, thank you for watching this video, and we hope to see you next time on Sanders 3 Lego. Bye!